We're all depressed, right? Most people, I imagine. Lately, I've been feeling even sadder than usual, and I've been dealing with it by wasting away in bed. I'm not even relaxed while doing that. I'm just constantly stressing about the political and economic state of the world right now, and the fact that 3 weeks ago, some lady at IHOP gave me a dirty look. But that's not healthy. I figured I'd force myself to get up today and try something new, something fun. Okay. I always see videos of very talented people making trinket dishes, and I thought I'd give it a shot. Most of the ones I've seen are either pottery or they're made with air dry clay, which I actually do have. Of the few times that I've actually used air dry clay, it has been extremely stressful, and I don't like working under a time constraint. I've had this specific package for like 2 years now, and I haven't even opened it because it stresses me out that bad. So I'm just gonna use scrap polymer clay instead, which I have a lot of anyway, so it'll be good to use some of it up. And I'm gonna mix a bunch of these into one smooth mixture because they're a bunch of different brands, they're different consistencies. It'll just be a lot easier to work with if it all comes together first. Okay, I've kind of given up on trying to get this thing to be just one color. My hands are really tired and it's taking a surprising amount of time, but I think I've gotten pretty close that it's good enough. I'm just gonna smooth this out into a ball before moving on so that there are no creases. Okay, now I'm just gonna flatten this into a sheet. If I can. I'm gonna do my best to get this whole thing to as close to the same thickness all the way around as possible. I don't have the tools for something this large. I only make miniatures. I feel like this is a decent thickness, and I feel like I've gotten it close to the same size all the way around. I have a couple of air bubbles. I don't know if you can see them. I'm gonna get rid of those real quick. So I was wondering how I'm supposed to shape this and get it to keep its shape while it's in the oven, since while polymer clay heats up, it kind of tends to droop down if it is a flatter shape. So I went rummaging around in my parents' kitchen and I found this dish, which I think is the perfect size and shape. This is so much easier than shaping it myself. I deserve this after the amount of time it took to mix the clay together. Okay, I'm just gonna try to smooth out these edges. I don't really care about it being absolutely perfect. Okay, that's a lie, I do care. But I'm gonna try to not care and just let it be very handmade. And then I'm gonna put it in the oven like this. I don't actually know that this dish is oven safe, and I probably should have checked first, but it doesn't have any words on it or anything that says if it is. I'm just gonna hope that it's fine. I didn't tell my parents I took this, but as far as I'm aware, they haven't noticed. If it does happen to break in the oven, we just won't tell them. Alrighty, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go put this in the oven now and hope that the dish doesn't break. Update, the plate survived. I've already let this cool off, so now I'm just gonna carefully try to pop it off of the plate. Oh, woo. That was easy. Since the bottom portion of this was touching the plate, it has a shiny surface on it, which will make it difficult to paint. So I'm gonna sand this down, and in the meantime, I think I'm also gonna sand down a bit of the inside because there's still some air bubbles which managed to get into the clay, which makes sense honestly considering how much I had to mix. Okay, Okay, that was definitely worth it because it now looks and feels so much smoother. And I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly clean the dust off of this and then I'll be back. So to decorate my trinket dish, I want to paint it, but before I can go in with actual colors, I'm gonna do a coat of white so that everything goes on nice and even. I think I'm probably gonna paint the outside portion separately because this is gonna make a bit of a mess. And I think I'm also gonna have to do a couple of coats. I was kind of anticipating 2 probably being enough of the white, but I mean, there's no way. I also wish I had a bigger paintbrush to do this with, but this is the biggest one I have. I gave it like a coat and a half. It felt dry enough that I could go over it again, so I tried doing a second layer, but then I realized that's probably not a good idea because I feel like the layer underneath won't dry well if it's covered. I don't know if that's true. I don't really work with paint ever. So I'm just gonna let this dry and then I'll come back and do a bunch more coats. I wonder how many it's gonna take to get this thing looking one solid color. I'm getting a feeling it's gonna be a lot. But I feel like we're getting there quicker than I expected. That's not so bad. This is coat 5, I think. And I still haven't painted the outer side at all yet. I'm gonna speed through this for you guys because I'm nice like that and only one of us needs to suffer. Okay, so I finished painting the whole thing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make it look pretty. I want to paint the inside of the dish a pastel pink. So I'm just gonna mix some pink that I have with a little bit of white. I'm hoping that this won't take a bunch of coats because I don't know that I'll be able to replicate that same pink if I need to. Oh, this is gonna take, oh boy, oh no. I'm way too impatient to wait all this time between layers, and this seems like it's gonna need quite a few. So I'm just using a hairdryer to dry the paint faster in between layers. I don't know if this is a good idea, just because again, I never really paint anything, but I feel like this is just how it's gonna go. Okay, so I just finished painting the last layer and I think it's a little spotty and there are some areas that are not as solid pink as others, but I've also just come to terms with the fact that I can't expect this to be perfect. So I'm gonna stop here and I'm just gonna let it dry off before I paint the outside. Alright, so I've let this dry for a while and now I'm going to paint the other side. And I think I'm gonna do this red because I kind of want to make this, there's dust everywhere. Okay, this is gonna take a couple coats as well. I think I should have made something else. I don't have the patience for this. And I thought I'd grow more patient as I do this, like a life lesson, but that hasn't happened. Okay, I just finished drying the second coat and it's starting to look a little bit better. I was nervous at first because it was going on really streaky, but I think it's getting a lot better. So I don't think it's gonna take as many coats as the other colors needed. I'm realizing I lied to myself. I'm gonna stick to clay. This isn't relaxing at all. 1,000 coats later and the outside is now fully painted. I just want to paint this edge here all the way around with that same red. I think that'll look pretty. I'm just really nervous that I'm going to get red on the pink and then I'll mess everything up. So I'm going to do this very carefully. Dude, my hand is shaking. Okay, I just drew out the outer line to fill in, and it is not even by any means. and it's kind of driving me insane, but I'm just trying to remind myself that I'm human and humans aren't perfect. Oh my god, I'm so nervous. I'm gonna get red paint everywhere. I feel like it's getting all over my fingers and I'm gonna touch something and then it'll be tainted with red. God, look how uneven that is. That's crazy. Now that the border is done drying, I can give the inside a design, and I thought long and hard about what to put on the inside. I think I'm gonna make it super dainty and aesthetic, which isn't my style at all, but I feel like being a poser today, so I think I'm just gonna add little cherries all over the inside. I'm gonna start by making the actual dots for the cherries. Oh my god, I'm actually so scared right now. Whoa. Do you think that's too small though? Should I make them a little bigger? I kind of like the idea of them being really dainty and small, but maybe that's too small? Let me do the second and then I'll decide. Oh, okay, that's not circular. I think I'm gonna leave them this size just because I'm scared of having to make them any bigger. I don't really know how to space them out. Just go for it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm really, I keep trying to fix them because they're bothering me, but I'm trying to just accept that and move on. This is like exposure therapy. This is more stressful than it is enjoyable. I feel like I added way too many, or I at least should have spaced them out more or something. I'm gonna add a couple more. I feel like it's too empty, and if I already added too much, it's too late anyway, so more it is. On the bright side, I haven't made a mess on the inside, which I thought would have happened by now, so that's good. Some of these empty spaces, I feel like they could use some more. I don't want to go overboard with it, so I'd rather just leave it blank. I'm gonna let these little dots dry off so that I can then go in and make the stems. I'll be back. Okay, so the cherries are done drying and I'm now gonna go ahead and paint on the green stems. I'm between using this really tiny paintbrush that I have or a dotting tool. They're both about the same size. This one's a bit smaller. I'm just worried that I won't be steady enough with the paintbrush, so I'm a little nervous. Let me just practice real quick. See, like that stresses me out. I guess I'll give this a try. And if I feel like it's not working super well, I can switch without hopefully making too much of a mess. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It just looks really, I don't know. It's not really the way I want it to look, so I'm gonna go ahead and try with the dotting tool and see if that's better. If it isn't, I'll just go back to the paintbrush. The paintbrush is significantly quicker to paint with, but I feel like the dotting tool is way easier to get a straight line with. I'd rather the lines be straight, so I'm just gonna go ahead and continue using the dotting tool. I wish I could fix this one up because now that I'm looking at that, it looks kind of jaggedy, but I think it's a little too late to fix it. The closer I get to finishing this up, the more I realize that the stems are facing weird orientations and like, that looks kind of weird, right? I kind of wanted it to look more sporadically placed, but I guess it's okay. It could look worse. I thought about drawing the shapes I wanted with... I can't talk and do things at the same time. This is not... that is not working out. That one came out too thick. It doesn't look even. It's okay. Okay. I'm just gonna let this dry without touching it so I don't mess anything up. Okay, so the paint finished drying. I'm gonna coat this with a little bit of UV resin so that it will seal in the paint and it'll just add a nice... You can see the brush strokes from the paint, so I really want something to cover that up, and resin does really nicely. I'm just going to use this silicone paintbrush to spread it out. And here is the final result. To be honest, I feel the exact same way as I did at the beginning of the video, but at least I have this cute new dish now, so that's cool. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.